So I was born with 7 fingers total, 5 on my left hand and 2 on my right. It is from this unique experience that I make art that I like to call deformance art. I used my unique perspective of being born with a birth defect to develop 4 distinctive characters. Each character represents a different part of my life. There's a childhood character, a teenage character, a character that represents the me now, and a character that's supposed to represent the future. My childhood character is called the 3-legged fox, and that character has primary colors of blue and orange, and I use costuming that has a lot of blue and orange in it, and I also use my 2-fingered hand a lot of times to make handprints that are blue and orange. And in that character, I'm kind of discussing or discovering the idea of what it's like to be a child who at first is just a child like any other child, and then through peers and through their environment discovers that they are different because they have a birth defect. These are my foot trap shoes. And what these shoes are is they're made out of an animal foot trap. This is a fox foot trap, and whenever I press my weight down on it, it opens, and whenever I lift my foot up, it closes. And so I combined a fox foot trap with a pair of childlike Mary Jane shoes, and I wear these when I'm performing as my 3-legged fox childhood character. When I was growing up in Western Pennsylvania, there is a large hunting culture up there, and my next door neighbor, he actually was a person who hunted and used traps for animals, and one day he was out checking his traps and he found a fox in one of the traps, and the fox had tried to chew part of its foot off to get out of the trap. And I was just a child at the time, and my next door neighbor's children brought me up to the house to see this fox that had a very damaged front foot. And basically when I saw that fox, it was in a cage and it was damaged. And instead of being interested in it as a spectacle, for me, even as a child, I found it quite terrifying. And I also thought that that fox had a metaphor for myself because I have a defect on my front hand or my front paw. My second character is my teenage character, and that character's name is Beno Betty. And that character is kind of a more risque character because when you're a teenager, that's about the time when you start to discover things like sexuality, and you start to discover the way that peers will interact now more in a kind of dating situation. And because I was born with a birth defect, it made things a little bit more different for me because a lot of times people didn't know I had a birth defect, and then when they found out I had a birth defect, they maybe treated me differently. And so a lot of times the stories and the performances I do in that character kind of discuss or go over that type of idea of being different and how other people treat you because you're different. My third character is a character that represents the me now, and that character is called the Marquis Sade, and that character is represented by the colors pink and black. And that character oftentimes wears a big white powdered wig, and that character does not care at all about being different, because the way I developed personally is I went through a time period when I was young and felt that I wasn't different and found out I was different. Then I was a teenager and felt like everybody else treated me like I was different. And then I became an adult, and as an adult I developed the security within myself to decide that I didn't really care if people judged me for being different or not, and I decided that really it was kind of their problem and that I just wanted to live my life and do the best I could do with this disability. And my future character is called Techno Holiday, and that character has the primary colors of yellow and purple. And in that character I wear flashy costumes like I'm some kind of rock goddess. And the reason I have that character as a future character is it's kind of a fantasy because none of us know what the future is. As you can see, I have a lot of wigs and bright colored costumes. And a lot of these things I fabricate myself, or I purchase and then make additions to. And they're always brightly colored. I use a lot of complementary colors for each one of my characters. I also use handprints for my characters that are equally the same type of colors to match each character. It's a visual way to draw people's attention in, and it's also something that's kind of exciting and fun to look at. And also for these are my knife shoes, and these are shoes that I made specifically for my Marquis Sade character. And basically with that character, it's a character that doesn't care about other people judging me. So basically I just kind of think about, when I'm in that character, the idea of what it's like to be an empowered woman who maybe has decided to not go the normal path of maybe marriage or having children, but has decided to choose a career. And so a lot of times when I'm in this character, I'm kind of more fierce, and I'm usually stepping on archetypes like wedding cakes or like Jello molds, anything that I feel represents some kind of traditional element, to kind of say that I don't need to be a traditional person to still be a woman and to still have power and strength and have something very important to say. I'm the recent recipient of the Florida Fellowship through the Florida Division of Cultural Affairs in Tallahassee. And I've also recently gotten a Spark grant from the city of Jacksonville, and the Community Foundation has also given me a grant this past year. And so I wanted to kind of work on not just my reputation as somebody who does performance art, but also as somebody who is capable of doing two-dimensional art. And this, I feel, is kind of a new body of work that I'm experimenting with. And again, I'm kind of sticking to these same color themes. So my fox character, when I'm a performance artist, uses a lot of orange and blue. And I've used a lot of orange and blue in this piece. And I've also used the actual figure of a fox with 3 legs. So one of the legs is missing. And this great big circular silver piece in the background is actually a great big foot trap. And so it fits again into the themes of the characters that I'm building and the stories that I'm telling. In this story, it's a transformation. So transformation can be metaphorically referenced to the idea of those lenticular images, because they have a transformation of an image, but also it's a transformation in size, because even as a child, we go from being maybe a baby to being a toddler to being, you know, kind of maybe 5, 6 years old to maybe the 8, 10 preteen age. So it's kind of a transformation, and that's what this piece represents. These are pieces that I made for the Cummer Museum of Art in conjunction with a show they had for VSA, which is Very Special Arts, and it brings art to children in public schools here in Duval County. All these paintings represent is different names I was called growing up because of my birth defect. So the first piece is called Crab Hand, and that is in reference to my hand looking like a crab. And then the second piece is called Captain Hook, and that's again in reference to having a birth defect. The third piece is called Trigger Finger, and the fourth piece is called Pincher Claw. This is a watercolor painting I did for a show that was featured at the Cummer Museum of Art and had other Jacksonville artists in it as well, and the show was called Our Shared Past. And this is a poem I wrote in reference to the work I did. The Pledge. 4 eyes, freckle face, funny lisp, awkwardness, crater face, buck teeth, kinky hair, crooked stare, pig nose, brace face, geek, nerd, skank, big gut, blubber butt. Our past sticks and stones will become our future microphones. 2 fingers, crab hand. Our past embarrassments will become our future accomplishments. Flipper fin, pincher claw. I pledge to remember our dark past, and I pledge to remember our enlightened future.